Hey everybody, it's Andy. Welcome back to my weekly show where I help you build a career you love. Today we're going to be talking about third-party and executive recruiters and everything you want to know. I promise this one is going to be fun. We are going to talk about who these people are, how they work, why they're so misunderstood, all the myths about them, and how you can have the best relationship working with them. And if you're wondering where I'm coming at you with this stuff from, I am a long-time executive search firm owner and an executive recruiter, an international top 100 recruiter, in fact, in 2015, and written a gold award-winning hiring book and have surveyed tens of thousands of recruiters, executive recruiters, HR people, all those folks that play a part in this. So I'm coming at you with personal experience. I'm also coming at you with some science and some data to back what I'm going to tell you. And I laughed. Some of you might have caught this on social media this week. When I say I got a lot to tell you, I actually measured this as a half an inch of index cards. That's right. I'm going to talk really fast. We got a lot of stuff to go through. It'll take about a half an hour or so, but I want to give you everything. We're going to go through who they are, all the myths. I got 10 of those, what you should be doing at every stage in interacting with them to get the most out of your relationship with them. If you're here with me live, get in the chat, say hello. I always love to know where you're from, what you do, what you need. If you got any questions, put some question marks in front of your questions. The chat gets pretty lively. If you're watching me on the recording, just put them in the comments. I'll do my best to answer. All right, so let's talk about who we're actually speaking about. Get our terms in order today. We're talking about a third party of some sort. So what this really is these recruiters are their own entity, whether they're an individual, whether they work on behalf of a business or a search firm or whatever it is, but they are their own entity that is working on behalf of an organization, some company that has actually hired them to go out and recruit somebody of a specific makeup, particular skill sets, particular experience, and so on. So they are working for a particular organization, as opposed to corporate recruiters who are usually an internal employee of the organization on which behalf they are recruiting you. I actually did a whole talk on working with corporate recruiters months back. We'll put the link up in the recording for you. But you can also find out everything you want to know about working with corporate recruiters. And then the other party that we're talking, that kind of falls into this category is staffing firms. And when I say staffing firms, I'm talking about individuals who are usually working on behalf of organizations to find temporary resources. So somebody who they likely are going to be charging by the hour. Typically what happens is the organization will pay the staffing firm some rate to have a contractor, a consultant, or some sort of independent working for a temporary period of time. We're not speaking about them. So when I say today third parties or executive recruiters, I'm talking about somebody who is helping you, looking to recruit you on behalf of another organization. And do not get misled by the term executive recruiter. Individuals at any level can be recruited by recruitment firms who specialize in those particular resources. So there are recruitment firms that help organizations find permanent administrators or executive assistants or office managers or whatever. And there are other organizations that are much larger that help people, organizations find executives. So what we're talking about here is just any of you are certainly susceptible to being contacted by one of these people. That's what I'm talking about. All right, third parties. Now, let's talk about exactly who they are. Okay, who they are. These individuals, and what I'm about to tell you right now may be obvious to some. It's probably not obvious to everybody, especially because of the loads of comments and questions that I get on my blog and via email and on my YouTube channel about why recruiters are not calling me back. And we're going to go through all that. Recruiters find people for jobs. They do not find jobs for people. They are driven based on the requests and the payments of their clients, who are companies who've asked them to go out and look for somebody specific. Okay, so the reason why a lot of you aren't getting callbacks when you reach into these types of firms is because they're busy looking for somebody other than you. It's not personal, but they find people for jobs, not jobs for people. Now, one of the other things that I want you to recognize when it comes to these individuals, because I know lots of times we kind of beat them up and we laugh at them, to give you some perspective, and I want to do this kind of sprinkled throughout. Some of this is important for you to know. Some of it's nice to know. In the recruiting profession, so somebody who is literally a recruiter on their own or for a company that is not a corporate recruiter, not a staffing firm, there is an 80% failure rate for these people at this profession within the first 12 months. That's 8 out of 10 of them are no longer recruiters within 1 year of starting this profession. That's how difficult this is, and for so many reasons. And the 20% that make it to the second year, 50% of them don't make it to the third year. So just go a little easy on them. Have a bit of respect for individuals who've been longtime recruiters. It's important that you kind of understand what they go through as well. They also have their issues with their clients, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. Now let's talk about the different kinds of recruiters. Here, this is kind of a nice to know, but I also figured it was important for you to know because a number of you ask me, why do I get contacted by multiple recruiters for the same position? Questions of this nature. So let's clear up some of that. There are several different kinds of recruiters, but for purposes of our discussion, there are two: retained and contingent. And I just want to give you some really broad strokes about what these kind of recruiters are. A retained recruiter is it's an organization or a firm where a company is hiring them to go out and recruit a particular individual or set of individuals for a particular skill set, background, and so on. Usually, that firm is paid up front and along the way, and at the completion of the process, of the recruitment process, there's designated dollars, the fees are negotiated, but what's important for you to know about this is this firm is getting paid for its expertise to manage the process, go out and recruit and get the right person to say yes, and it usually it makes sense for this to be an exclusive relationship, meaning the organization that is hiring a Mile Walk or some other retained search firm is only using that firm to go out and get those individuals or individual, whatever the case may be. Contingent recruiters are just that. They work on a contingency basis where typically, they do not get paid anything unless the company who is contracted with them actually hires somebody. So if we were a contingency recruitment firm, we would take a search. There would be no money exchanged. The search firm would bear all the financial risk, the time risk, and so on to go out into the market and try to find somebody that they could place with their client. Now, typically, if a company is smart, they will focus on one contingency search firm, but a lot of them like to use multiple contingency search firms to surface individuals for the very same position because in their mind, hey, it's not costing me anything financially. I'll have 3 firms out there looking for my one project manager, and perhaps I will find it 3 times as fast. The logic is incredibly faulty. Companies bump into each other out there. It kind of looks bad, kind of bad form. But usually, contingent search firm owners or recruiters are not working on an exclusive basis. Not always. Usually depends on the relationship and the strength of the relationship that they have with their organization or with their client. Now, not that this is of all that important, but I do want to mention it because based on my analysis, our surveys of contingent firm owners or contingent recruiters and retained recruiters, contingent recruiters actually earn more. They pocket more money, maybe not percentage-wise of the fee, but in total annually, they typically earn more for many reasons, not the least of which is if their organization or the client that they're representing is not operating effectively, they can quit and run because they haven't taken any money, you're not behaving effectively, you're not doing the right things in order to secure the right people or helping us do that, if you're not going to be a great client, we're just going to dash off. Where retained search firms can't do that because they're being paid for the process. So there's a lot of nuances. The important thing I want you to know is there's generally two different kinds, retained and contingent. They can operate at all levels. So don't think, well, because I'm a senior person, I'm only going to be dealing with retained firms or contingency firms or whatever. I wanted you to know that. Now let's talk about this. I'm going to run through 10 myths, mistakes, misunderstandings, mishaps, you name it. And let's run through these because I want to give you some context. And then after we run through these, I'll actually give you exactly what I'd like you to do. I might sprinkle a little of this in along the way. But this is important. Wait, I got the chicken's cup today. We've been constantly cleaning out the chicken coop because it's been raining every day. All right, let's get back to the recruiters. So let's talk about the myths, and I want to categorize them into, 3 or 4 different groupings, but I want to talk about a few where you are trying to contact them. The biggest mistake that people make is not that they are actually trying to contact search firms or executive recruiters, but to the extent to which they do it, that they're making that a primary focal point of their job search. When the fact of the matter is, wrap your mind around this stat, you've probably got less than a 3% chance of being placed in your next position by an executive recruiter. Think about what you're doing. You're trying to contact somebody who might have a plate full of searches that he or she is doing. They're looking for very specific types of individuals. The chance that you are exactly what they need at the moment that they need it is rare. It's like running to the convenience store every day for a week trying to buy lotto tickets because you need money. I mean, that's in fact what that is like. And people are spending an inordinate amount of time chasing people who they shouldn't be chasing. The percentage of them actually being successful in connecting with these individuals and being the right person at the right time is almost nil. How about this one? Well, but I'm super awesome and I'm a star in my space and in my market and in my company, and I'm a straight A worker all the time. Why are they not calling me back? It makes no difference to me how awesome you are at what you do if I'm, underneath a pile of rocks trying to find, this information technology project manager for that small consulting firm when you're the best ever healthcare project manager. Then it's nothing. It's like you don't even exist to me at the moment. It's actually what's happening. It makes no difference how great you are at what you do if that's not what I need at the moment. Even if I search for healthcare project managers, I cannot take time out of my schedule as a recruiter to take time to talk to you when I have 7 clients breathing down my neck for all these other positions that are not you at the moment. They are either paying me or that's my opportunity to earn and service them. So keep that in mind. Here's another one. But I'm super senior, so I should only work with search firms or international search firms, or I'm the CEO of this or that. This doesn't matter either. Just because you're senior doesn't mean you should be chasing search firms. And just because you're senior doesn't mean you can't go direct. And just because you're senior doesn't mean that the head recruiter at some company isn't the one who's responsible for searching for you. Or maybe you are going to be a practice leader in their organization. Maybe you're going to be the senior vice president of sales and marketing. Not everybody pays for third-party search firms. So again, make executive recruiters a complement in your portfolio of job searching activities. This one always cracks me up. Well, I'm a career changer, so I need to target recruiters who work in that space so that they can help introduce me to organizations who need resources like the one I want to be. This is the actual worst situation. Think about what you're doing based on what I just said. You don't have experience in these particular roles or jobs or markets or whatever, and you want a recruiter who's being paid by a company to go find them somebody who is an expert at that level in this space, at that function. You'll never get a return call if you are a career changer unless, you're best friends. I mean, and somebody wants to, be nice and give you some counsel, but the likelihood that you would get placed by an executive recruiter while you're making a career change is less than 0.1%. It's really that minuscule. So don't waste any of your time doing that. Now let's talk about this one. How about when they contact you? When they contact you. All right, so you guys know how this goes, right? I'm sure some of you are out there going, oh, I get contacted by recruiters all the time. Some of you are out there going, I don't ever get contacted by recruiters. But I want you to think about this. When they contact you, and nowadays, so they used to call you on the phone. When I started, I would call everybody on the phone. Now nobody picks up their cell phone or their work phone or whatever throughout the day unless they know who's calling. Right? So now what recruiters do, thanks to LinkedIn and all the different packages that recruiters have or that LinkedIn has to help recruiters, and the fact that apparently nobody knows how to talk to anybody anymore, and nobody knows how to do anything other than email and tweet and fax and text, I should say. So what do? They email you. When they email you, they might say something to you and introduce themselves to you, and the really bad recruiters will say, hey, I got this job, here it is, are you interested? Now, or hey, I'm searching for a position, I'm looking for a system administrator, and I thought, you might be interested in talking with me, and you're thinking to yourself, did that person even look at my background and notice that I'm a database architect and not a system administrator? Right? This happens, right? I'm guessing a lot of you, this happens, right? And what's the first thing that goes through your mind? Did the recruiter even look at my background? Well, I got news for you. That recruiter probably did in some form or fashion very quickly, or that recruiter asked his or her researcher to use their account, this is very common, and use their account and send you an email. And he probably said to the researcher, hey, can you just identify people that have some technology in their background? Just reach out to them. Let's go out there. Let's go after a lot of people. Let's see who gets back to us. Let's kind of vet them out when they do, and so forth. That's what's happening a lot. Now, for you, it doesn't matter whether they miss the mark or not. The fact is, you got an inbound inquiry, and you should be thinking of it as a golden opportunity to get that person on the phone and get some dialogue going. How about, and I'll talk to you about how to do that. So did they even look? Or the really lazy recruiters, this is really terrible, but that job's not for me. It makes no difference if they send the job description, if they don't send the job description. If this thing is not for you, that's not the point. Get back to them, because there are some opportunities that are going to present themselves once you get on the phone. But if you self-select yourself out, it's dead. It can't go anywhere. It can't go anywhere. So for all of you that are actually employed, because I know we've got a number of employed people who come here for the career development, and as a matter of fact, this topic right now should be for a lot of people who are employed, because you want to be ready when somebody actually contacts you. But that's a golden opportunity for you to actually speak to them. All right, how about this one? So let's talk about this category. All right, so after you connect with them, so somehow they got to you, you got to them, you guys decided that you would have a phone call, you had this nice call, but you didn't get any call back. Okay, and then I get emails that say, well, I had this call with a recruiter, and the recruiter told me that he or she was going to present me to their client, or they didn't really say anything, and I've been emailing them, and they're not getting back to me, and so on. So first thing is, you have to recognize there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes. Their client could have called them the minute you got off the phone with them and said, the search is over, some other search firm filled it. Or we decided we want to change the requirements of the position. They do this stuff, right? This is why contingent recruiters can run and retained recruiters can't. We decided we want to change the skill sets, or we also want them to have this or that. They tell the recruiter, you don't happen to have that. The recruiter doesn't have very good etiquette, decides not to call you. Maybe the recruiter is in the process of interviewing other candidates. Right? So you should get some kind of indication with the recruiter about what the next steps are. So just keep that in mind. How about this one? Well, they won't send me the JD. So, the recruiter either they won't email it to you, or before you talk, or you made a connection and they don't want to tell you who their client is or send you the job description. Why? Why don't they want to do that? Well, the first thing that you got to recognize, and we're going to go into this a bit more as we get into the section about what you should be doing. But when an executive recruiter, third-party search firm, any of those folks are reaching out to you and you're getting on the phone, the thing that they very much value, a person who wants to get on the phone with you, is the long-term relationship with you. If the job description that they immediately give you in the email allows you to select yourself out, you can't build that relationship. The other thing is the job description itself is not the job, just like your resume is not you. Okay, so if they send you the job description and all of a sudden you read it in 2 minutes, you say, well, I'm not interested in this, you're gonna kill the relationship prematurely. The other thing, more psychologically, is I, as an executive recruiter, would like to understand from you what it is that you want, what you love, what you don't, right? All you boot campers that are out there, what's the first thing that we do when we talk about getting your requirements in order? These are the kind of things that help a recruiter understand what you're interested in. If I know, as a third-party recruiter, what that job looks like, I know the company, I know the boss, I know these people, what the culture's like, and you're describing something that is similar to that, awesome, I know I got a match, and your thinking is not being polluted by something that's in front of you, or you're not rationalizing what you like or don't like, because if I hand you a job description and you start rationalizing, I don't know you're rationalizing. I need to know that because I need to make sure that I'm looking for a good match for you, who I'm now trying to build a relationship with, and my customer, who is my client who's paying me to get a good person. So if somebody doesn't want to give you the job description, you should, number one, be immediately thinking, that's awesome, because now I'm not going to be interrupted or skewed in the way I think about what I want. The second thing is, the longer that recruiter is asking you questions about you, the better. The more the recruiter will understand you. The recruiter is now investing time in building the relationship with you, not just hit and run, do you want this job? No, I'll see you later. That doesn't do either of you any good. It doesn't do either of you any good. The minute you start putting the job description in front of you, it's more for these reasons, not so much that I care you're going to do an end around me, because you're going to be at a disadvantage if you bypass me, which we're going to get to in a minute. So I want you to think about that. Oh, look at this next card. I shot a whole video on this one. Should I bypass the recruiter? Should I bypass the third-party recruiter? No. And I want to say almost never. Why? Well, if I reach out to you and I'm building a relationship with you and I'm trying to assess whether you're a good fit or whether you're not, and I have to go through my due diligence and I have to evaluate the candidates, and it takes me a few days or a week or whatever, and all of a sudden you go in direct, and I'm a contingent recruiter, sometimes even a retained recruiter, and you go in direct. Now, number one, I'm not going to get credit if they ultimately hire you. Number two, you can bet that company is going to call me and let me know that they're interviewing you, and I'm going to say, oh, you found somebody through your portal. What is his or her name? We jot it down. They tell us. What do you think we're going to say? We were in the process of interviewing them. I wasn't wowed. I was still going through my due diligence. These were the issues I saw. That happens. That will happen. Think about the advantage you will have if you go through the recruiter who can prep you, debrief you, guide you, share with you intelligence that you otherwise would not have on the job, the company, the interviewers, and so on. It is to your advantage. Now, if the recruiter gets with you, whether you meet in person, whether you talk on the phone, and tells you who the company is, what the job is, and doesn't get back to you, and you're trying to call them to try to find out, hey, what's the next step? I really want to be proper and have the right etiquette and work through you, and they are never getting back to you, then yeah, go ahead, go direct. But you need to give them a little bit of time, and you need to try to get them to respond to you and give you some, manage your expectations in some way of what is going to be next. Now, here's another one. Should I pay them? Okay, so recruiters themselves, the kind we're talking about, you should never pay. They get paid by the companies. That's the whole point. However, there are firms that are out there that are the absolute biggest scams in the world, and I'll tell you why. Oh, they're legit businesses for sure, and they get people to pay them 8 or 10 grand to say, hey, you know, so and so, you're a pretty senior gal. You know, practice director level, you know, we've got a lot of relationships with these types of, consumer product goods organizations in this space nationally. And if you pay us and give us some information, we will go and we will reach out to our 2,000 company database and see if we can help you get placed. We're a window into the employment market for you. It's a total bunch of bunk. So first thing is, what they do is they talk to you for a few minutes. They jot down some notes. They get your resume. Maybe they help you clean it up a little. Maybe they even help you with a cover letter. Okay? Then what they do is they don't talk to me. They don't talk to the recruitment firm owners. Now, this is another firm. You got recruitment firm owners, people like me that are windows into the employment market. You have companies that they will target on your behalf. And here's what they do. They spray your resume all over the place, hoping that somebody that they don't know, that they somehow have gotten this individual to say, yes, I would welcome any and all resumes that you would like to send me. And then they just keep sending them. And a lot of times they're sending them to people who they don't know, like me. I mean, I would get dozens of these every day from different firms, and then all, the letters would look the same, the resume layouts would look the same, and so on. So what they're doing is they're just spraying out there and hoping, and their appeal to me as a recruitment firm owner is, you don't need to worry, you don't need to pay us, because the candidate paid us. And then what they do with the companies that they're working with is the company probably doesn't even pay them, or pays them a small amount of money, depending on whether they're successful or not, or whether they hire somebody. So it's a total scam. Don't do it. Believe me, you will be far better off if you take control of your networking, your search, and so forth. But you should never pay them, ever pay them. All right, now let's talk about what you should do. Okay, so those were 10 things that I want you to be really careful about and understand. All right, first thing, I want you to change your mindset. Yes, I want you to change your mindset. Okay, what do I mean by this? It's okay if you contact a recruiter, all right? But if the recruiter contacts you, the first thing that I want you to do is I want you to completely think backwards, okay? Don't think about what could the recruiter do for me. Think about what could I do for the recruiter. If you remember, okay, they are a window into the employment market. They're actually a door. The chances that they're going to connect, even if they call you, at that moment that they're going to have the right type of job at the exact right place is remote. It happens. That's what I do for a living. But the percentage is low. You've got to be thinking long term. So what most of you are thinking is, all right, I need something right now. What can this recruiter do for me? Instead of, hey, this is somebody who's around employment every single day. If I can build a relationship with a dozen of these people, you'd be in Fat City. But what do? You think short term. You need to think long term. You need to think that even though I need a job right now, or I don't need a job right now and I'm fat, dumb, and happy in what I do, you got to be thinking long term. Okay, you really need to do that. And the best way to build a relationship is what? To give. If your mentality is, wow, somebody called me and I now have an opportunity to give this person something, I'm going to give first, which is rule number 1 of networking and professional relationship building. What do I do with all of you, right? I give you 200 videos, 18 different web series, a variety, all this stuff, because I want to give out the goodwill. And I know that not all of you will go and enroll in programs or get my coaching or whatever, and that's totally okay. But I love the giving part. But it also the universe has got a great way of working itself out. These people who don't think this way, right? I'm in my job. I'm not going to take 2 minutes out to call that person, or they sent me a job that I'm totally not interested in. These are the same people that when they need a job, or they need to network with somebody, or they need to make a sale at a company, these are the same people that wonder why no one calls them back, the friends don't do anything for them. Why is it that everybody I call is just, butting me out, or whatever it is? So you got to think about, this is actually a golden opportunity for you to give the recruiter something, and everybody has a network. I don't care what you say. You people make me laugh when you say, I don't know anybody. Really? You've been working for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, and you don't know anybody? I don't care if you have their number or not. You probably remember their name. So just think about that just conceptually. Now I'm gonna show you here exactly how to do this, but I can't drive this point home enough. Even inside the Mile Walk Academy, when we get questions, or on the Facebook page, or now the LinkedIn page that we have about, hey, a recruiter contacted me, should I actually take the time to, and the answer is hell yes, every time. Because that's your opportunity to give somebody something, referrals, whatever. And at a minimum, you can figure out and ask them what's going on in the employment market. What do the trends look like? What are the hot spaces? What are they noticing? What are companies hiring? What are the issues nowadays? What are the mediums companies are using? Whatever it is. Now, here's what I want you to do. When you are approaching them, here again, breaking this up. So when you approach them, so now they have not contacted you, you want to reach out to them. Here's what I want you to do. Conceptually, I don't mind that you reach out to them. There's nothing wrong with that, but consider it a supplement, not the primary. We get a number of people who email me, they want to join my job search boot camp. I've been trying to get a hold of recruiters. They're not getting a hold of me. I contacted 100 of them. It's not a great use of your time. The percentages are incredibly low. I've already given them to you. Why would you spend 80% of your search time trying to contact people when you have a 1% chance of actually getting placed by them? So just make it a supplement. Then the other thing, offer them something. So when you contact them, you gotta give them something. Oop, I think I missed one of my cards. Actually, I can't find that card. I'm guessing it's, here it is. I want you to email them only. Do not call them. I don't care if my mother gave you my name and said, call him. Don't call me and leave me a voicemail message. Don't call executive recruiters and leave them a voicemail message. They will never call you back, even if they don't have any context on you. If they can't look at your resume, if they can't look at where you're going, or they don't have some kind of frame of reference, it is going to be a long time, if ever, you get a return call from them. Email them. Email them so you actually can do all of these things that I'm talking about. So when you email them and you're going to offer them something, here's what I'm talking about. If you target somebody and you notice that they recruit for positions in your space, or you were given a name by my mother or whoever and said, go call this person or email this person or whatever, however it is that you got there, email them and say, hey, I wanted to reach out. I got your name from so-and-so, or I noticed that you recruit for positions like this in companies in my space. I'm sure you have a lot going, and assuming that you are somebody who does this, I'd love to share my resume with you, attach the resume, and if you'd be so kind as to take a look at it and let me know if there are any opportunities that you're currently searching for that you think I would be suitable for, or would be suitable for me, however you want to phrase it, I would be happy to discuss. If that's not the case, please keep my credentials in your system should anything arise. In the meantime, if you'd like to have a conversation, I would be happy to offer you my network and any referrals to people who fit the positions you are searching for, or something like that. Put it in your language. But that's the point. I'm emailing you. I noticed, or I was referred. Here's my resume. Let me know if there's anything that you have. And assuming that there isn't, I'd welcome the call and offer you my network. All right. Now you're at least giving me something. Now I know that you are the willing type and you have probably increased your chances of getting a call from that recruiter by 100%. I'm not saying it's 100% that they're going to call you. You're going to double your chances or triple or quintuple your chances, but you've got a much better shot that when I get an email like that, I recognize that this person appreciates what I do, came at me in a manner that shows me they have the right perspective and they're willing to build a relationship. What's wrong with a 10-minute call to that person? That's very different because I know I'm going to get off that call likely with, maybe I have positions that are somewhat related, but not exactly what that is right now. And if the person did their homework and they know the type of positions that I recruit for, I would definitely call them back. And then here, don't expect much though. This is the big problem. This is a big source of pain in anything in your life, but especially when it comes to these people. All right. So there's that. Now, if you get contacted, here's what I want you to do. Return the message no matter what. It doesn't matter that they missed your profile. The goal of their message to you is to get you on the phone. Your goal of receiving a message like that or sending them a message is to get them on the phone. Nothing can happen if you are not calling them back, or you are not helping them, or there's nothing that could come of that. The only way a positive outcome can occur, whether now or in the future, is if you actually have a conversation. And do not think for 1 minute that because I sent you an email today, that next month I'm willing to talk to you because you got back to me in a month. No, that ship has sailed. Strike while it's hot. Strike while we just sent it to you. Show me you're responsive. That matters. But now if you call me in a month, I'm going to think something went wrong. So just remember. And then the other thing is just listen and enjoy. Take your time to go through, hear them out, what they do. It's okay to say, hey, my background is a little bit more this way. It appeared as though you were reaching out about this. Let's, have at it. Let me understand it. Let me share with you a little bit about who I am and what I want. And then talk about, go wherever the conversation will bring you. Hey, listen, okay, so it doesn't sound like this is a fit. Let me help you network. Then immediately try to give them something. Don't you worry about, I gotta, call my friends and any of that crap. It doesn't matter. If your friends don't want to talk to them, they won't talk to them. You need to do your job right at the moment. Otherwise, you will not get that chance to give them that gift again. You're going to go off. You're going to get busy. So as you're listening to them, just start trading information. Make sure you share your info. This is very important. They cannot be a scout for you while you go off and either be happy or go continue to look for other jobs if they don't have your information. Don't be tight with your lips. Give them everything you want. Give them your resume. Give them everything that they would need to know. What compensation range am I looking at and all that good stuff, okay? And then, I hit this one here, but you gotta give them referrals. Don't overthink this. Get them anybody that is remotely close to what they're doing. Maybe those people can take them to the next level. It makes no difference. Your goal is to give in that session. You're planting seeds for the long term. And yes, it would be wonderful if you ended up getting engaged with their client. And let's talk about that. So, all right, hey, you are a fit. I contacted you. You contacted me back. You are a fit. I'm going to get you engaged with my client. Now, here's some things I want you to ask right away. Okay, so we had our discussion. We went through a bunch of stuff. I love you. You love me. You like the opportunity. We're going to go at this together. Okay? First thing you want to do before you move is ask the recruiter, what kind of relationship do you have with the company? So I'm talking about, been working with them a while. Are you the only one searching? What's the landscape look like? Have you placed anybody at the company, or is this a new relationship? If you've placed people at the company, who have you placed at the company? What types of positions? I'm a product manager. You've placed salespeople at the company? Okay, that's fine. Then you start be thinking, okay, how long have you been with this hiring official? That sounds great. So you know the company, but do you actually know the person that I'm going to be interacting with? So we got a company, we got a client we've been working with 5 years. We've placed people in the sales and marketing area. We've placed people in the alliances area. We've are now recruiting for people on the delivery side, the project managers, and so forth. I know the operations person. I know the head of sales and marketing because I put him there. I know one of the sales people, right? The alliances manager. I don't know the director of professional services. That's okay. But this is the kind of dialogue you want to have. Why do you want to have it? Because one of the things that's going to stress you out is when I say, hey, this is great. I'm going to go put you in front of my client. And then I go and then I come back and I say, hey, they don't want to talk to you. Because I didn't have the clout. I didn't have the credibility. Versus, nope, I'm telling you, when I talk to my client, she's going to want to talk to you. Why? Because she's going to talk to anybody that I put in front of her because I got a hit rate like you wouldn't believe. And she trusts me. That's different. Okay, you just want to have an idea because all of that is going to set the tone for what you're going to be doing as you're working with the recruiter through that process from the time they present you. And you need to make sure you give them everything that they need. Okay, number one concept, give them everything that they ask for at this stage. If they have committed to putting you in front of their client, and they should not put you in front of their client unless you've given them permission. So make sure that give them everything that they want. Then be responsive, and I mean hyper responsive. When candidates are not returning my call to get scheduled, when my client has given me 3 dates next week for them, I don't care that they're next week. I need to know, like now, when you can meet or when you can't or whatever. If you're not being responsive, you're sending signals to the company, to the hiring company, just like if you were going in on your own, that you're not that interested. It's not good form. You need to be responsive. Believe me, recruiters aren't calling you to chitty chat. They're calling you because they need something, or they need to tell you something, or something of that nature, or they need to find out something from you, or whatever it is. So just be responsive. You are sending messages, and don't think for 1 second that I will not turn to my client and say, you know what, I'm so sorry. I've called so-and-so 3 times and she's not getting back to me. Why am I going to tell her that? Well, number one, I don't want her to think I'm being lazy. Number two, I want to tell her everything within reason because I want her to believe me when I say something. Right? I need her to believe me when I tell her something. I'm not going to lie to her, but I need to make sure that I'm earning her trust, and especially somebody that I've been working with for a long time. But even if it's somebody that I haven't been working with for a long time, I'm going to do that because I want them to know what's happening behind the scenes. You're sending signals, okay? The other thing, you got to be honest about everything, about whatever it is that they ask you. When I ask you, who else are you interviewing with? Who are the companies? What are the positions? Where are you in the process? Do you really want to travel? Do you not? Do you this, that, whatever? It doesn't do you any good if you are not being open and honest. It really is going to hurt you in the long run. Then you're not going to earn my trust or the trust of the company who is hiring you. So it is okay. And I, in return, as an executive recruiter, need to be honest with you. And I need to let you know there are other candidates in the process. Here's who they are, and so on. I wrote this one out. There's a lot of things that go along with being professional, showing up on time, showing up to your interviews on time, getting in touch for the debrief and prep calls on time, doing your homework, putting your questions together, and all that stuff. This matters hugely. We talked about the long game. Think long term. Now, why am I reiterating this here? Well, when you work with me, everybody gets this little speech from me as soon as we get on the phone the first time, first call. I never met you before. This is going to be in the recruitment call. I care more about the relationship with you than I ultimately care about the outcome. Yes, I would love for, my client to hire you, and they would be happy and you would be happy and I would be happy and all that good stuff. But there are odds that go against that. All right? So it's difficult to get hired, right? Boom, boom. So I care more about our relationship in the long term. Yes, I would love for you to get that job, but what's really going to bother me is if you do something that makes me look bad, or you're lying to me, or any of that, because then I'm never going to work with you again. And remember, if you're thinking long term, I will come back to you. We've had individuals that we've recruited They've gotten into the interview process. For whatever reason, they decided to pull back. Maybe, the spouse lost a job, things got risky. There's a million things that can go wrong. As long as they were open, honest, communicated with me, showed up on time, and all that good stuff, I would go back to them in a second. And there have been a lot of people where that has happened that I have then placed a year or 2 or 3 years later. So think long term. You are only burning the bridge, not if you reject an offer, but if you do it in bad form. Take advantage of the preps and the debriefs. So every executive recruiter should prepare you before you go into an interview. It could be 5 minutes. It could be 50 minutes. It could be 2 hours, okay, that they prep you. It doesn't make any difference. Make sure you show up to the prep on time. Make sure you come to the prep ready. And then when you get done with the interviews, you want to make sure that you call the recruiter immediately. Why do you want to do that? Well, can you imagine the situation where you go in and you interview with my client, and then you get done, and then my client calls me, like they're trained to do as well, right? I got to call Andy, let him know how it went, because Andy said, please call me, right? And they're calling me, and you haven't called me, or you haven't called a recruiter. Now, what I do is I actually don't pick up the phone. But a lot of people pick up the phone, and here's what happens. Hey, well, I interviewed with so-and-so, everything was great, but she said this, I was a little concerned about that. Now I'm sitting here thinking, oh my God, I don't know. I don't know what that was like. Now I'm only getting one side. I'm flat-footed. I don't know what to say. I can't dampen it if I need to, right? I can't clarify it, and so on. So it's important. You don't need to think about it for 3 days. You don't need to process it. You don't need to go sit in a corner and close out the lights. I mean, just what's your reaction? What happened? How do you feel? All those good things they want to know. So make sure you do that. And you need to throughout the entire process. So that's individually across the interview and interviews. But throughout the entire interview process, take advantage of their relationship. This is what gives you the biggest leg up. When I say, hey, this is what this client is like. Here's what she loves. Here's what she doesn't. These are the 4 things she's going to care about. These are the success metrics for the position. You ought to see this prep stuff, right? Imagine knowing all this before you get in there. That is somebody who's worked with the client before or has worked with these types of clients before. You need to take advantage of that. Leverage their relationship and take their guidance throughout. These are 8 biggies that you should do all the time. And I understand that everybody is different level of caliber, and some of you are going to meet some executive recruiters that are super sharp, and some of you are going to meet executive recruiters that ain't that great. But the fact of the matter is, if you get engaged in one of their processes with their clients, you want to do everything you can to work with them, let them negotiate for you, let them feed you the information about the interviewers and all that good stuff. It will substantially increase your odds. All right, so I'm not going to recap that. That's 45 minutes, but I hope that gives you some perspective.